Nexus Mods already has over 300 mods for Silksong, and every single day I check for new ones. I tend to have an emphasis on quality of life mods, specifically ones that will aid subsequent playthroughs, and particularly ones that don't impede on the game's balance too much. But as you'll find out when it comes to things like the speedrunning achievements particularly, that is nearly impossible to avoid when it comes to quality of life, because these save you time. And while the game itself isn't necessarily made easier by saving time, the speedrunning achievements certainly are. So with that out of the way, let's get into the list, starting with the most important mod you will need, the one that is needed to run almost everything else and manage your mods, and that is BepInEx 5, created by BepInEx authors and uploaded by DevOps Dinosaur. There's not a lot to say about the mod, you do require it, but you would want it anyway because it is a nice mod manager. The installation is very simple. You download the zip file from Nexus Mods, open your Steam, right-click on Silksong, go to Manage, browse local files, and then drop the contents of the BepInEx 5 zip folder into the Silksong folder. Start Silksong once, then exit out of it, and all the folders you will need will have been created in that simple process. Mostly any subsequent mod you ever install will pretty much just be a single DLL file that goes into the plugins folder. And that's it. And now that you have BepInEx installed, when you open up Silksong and you go into game and you press F1, the mod manager for BepInEx will come up, and any mods you have that do have configurable settings, for the most part, will all show up in this list and will be easily configurable instead of hunting down their config files and editing a notepad like you would have to do otherwise. So next on the list is a mod that is going to perplex a lot of people, and that is Space Monkey 86's Disable Achievements. The only situation where you would actually want this mod is if you wish to play around with a bunch of imbalanced mods or perhaps even cheats, but don't wish to earn achievements cheaply. Very simple, some might want it. Some of these mods are going to make earning certain achievements like the speedrunning ones much easier, so if you would rather earn them legitimately, perhaps at a later date when you have more practice, this mod would be for you. So now that the housekeeping mods are out of the way, I'm going to divide these into categories, kicking it off with quality of life. Bigfoot Mech's Skip Intro mod. This mod does one thing, it simply just cuts down on the amount of intro screens that can't be skipped when starting up Silksong. Next up is two mods that are both created by Lord Gregory but uploaded by Synthlight, that is Always Have Compass and Always Have Magnet. Both mods serve a very similar purpose, that is to give you the effect of a quality of life charm, or tool in this case, without having them equipped. The ability to magnetize all shards and rosaries to yourself, and also the ability to see yourself on the map no matter if you have the compass equipped. In my own opinion, the impact on balance with these two mods is pretty minimal. The impact it could have highly depends on which crest you're using and when. Sometimes it might save you a memory lock, at other times it will allow you to use two of the only really good yellow tools there are while also getting the quality of life aspect of the magnet and the compass. Next on the list is Quantum Rage 10's Auto Brolly. Brolly? I don't know, I'm just gonna say Brolly. The point of this mod is to allow you to keybind your float ability. For those who do not know, in the early days of Silksong's life, a long 3 weeks ago or so, you used to actually be able to override the float command at any point just by pressing down and jump at the same time. But Team Cherry removed that, and while I really don't think it's as big a deal as some people did, some people really wish they would add it back. I think this mod is actually an improvement of that, as it just gives it a whole dedicated keybind. If you ask me, that's just more control with better reaction time. Alternatively, if you would like to restore the old functionality, there is Demo Jameson's Make Float Great Again. That literally just restores it to the way it used to be. Next up is Realm WTH's No Bench Restrictions. This mod lifts the restrictions on equipping crests and tools only at the bench. But I'm going to warn you, this mod has a lot of potential for abuse. It's up to you and your own personal restrictions on how you use this to not make it abusive. For example, you can do a boss like Carmelita, who is preceded by a monster arena. Use a loadout for the arena that is more well suited for the arena, and then switch to a more boss-oriented one when she shows up. That would be an example of light to medium abuse. Extreme abuse would be equipping new tools after you deplete your old ones in the middle of combat. If you want to abuse this mod, it's entirely up to you. I just like the convenience of not having to be at a bench to change my loadout, especially if I'm just trying to practice or play around with new builds. Next up is Kassen's Bonfire Teleport. Of the the many traditional fast travel type mods, I find this one to be the best one. Not only is it the cleanest looking, but it's also just probably the smoothest in functionality. You open up your map, go to place a marker over a bench icon, and you will instead be teleported to that bench. It is very smooth, very clean. However, a mod that can save so much time and skip so many areas that you would otherwise have to run through can obviously have quite a lot of implications on game balance. Whether that be something like a Steel Soul playthrough where you'll have to run through less maps, thus being put in less dangerous situations, or the speedrunning achievement where you will obviously save a lot of time. If you would like to instead preserve the game's balance a little bit more but still have slightly faster travel speeds, you can instead use Classix's fast travel. This mod simply just speeds up just about every aspect of using the Bell Beast fast traveling, whether that be it already being there waiting for you and setting to call it, or cutting out the cinematic entirely, just making it an instant travel. It just makes the already existing game fast travel system a lot smoother and more bearable to use, and if you would like a more pure experience, this mod would probably be your preference over the previous one. Next is Vitax's quality of life. This mod does a handful of things: cutscene skipping for most cutscenes in the game, faster pickups of special items like silk hearts and abilities, no weakness in Moss Grotto, that's basically when Hornet like doubles over and has like a little panic attack, no boss dialogue / faster boss loads, see percentage at any time, faster levers, I honestly don't know what that does, I assume it makes opening doors and stuff quicker, and faster dialogue. Each of these individual things is toggleable within BepInEx, and it's just a generally good mod, especially if you're looking to do subsequent playthroughs and find some of those aspects a little annoying, especially if you're doing Steel Soul and dying a lot and end up having to run through the Moss Grotto many times. Doubling over and having a little panic attack, that shit adds up pretty quickly. Next up is Pilu's boss retry menu. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that name. Very simple mod, you're just able to respawn directly at a boss whenever you die to it, or if you want, you actually can go back to the bench as normal. I find this one to be the best of the handful of mods that do this exact same thing, and needless to say, this can impact game balance of the speedrunning achievement quite a bit, but I'm gonna wager to say that if you're dying like 30 times to the same boss and the runbacks are really breaking you down that much, speedrunning achievement probably isn't on the table yet anyway, so this mod will just, it'll make the game a lot more tolerable for more players, and there's nothing wrong with that. And next is another mod by Pilu, and that is the integrated interactive map. Once you install this, you press F2 in the game, and it will open up an interactive map that is functionally very similar to what you would see on like Map Genie. It is a little bit more rough, but given that you don't actually have to alt-tab out of the game to use it, I think that's pretty awesome. Much of the same functionality that you would expect from something like Map Genie is all here. The ability to filter, hide specific categories. The only thing not supported currently at the time of recording this is actually tracking things. Given that this is a relatively new mod and there is interest in it, I would imagine it will get added eventually, but for now, it's just an interactive map, but you can still click on icons and get extra info on how to find things, and that's fantastic. And now we're moving on to the next category, which is informative, which is really just two mods. First up is Xiaohai NB's HealthBar Pro. HealthBar and damage text mods can be incredibly contentious within the Hollow Knight community. Some people are purists and think it ruins the sanctity of the game. I personally don't give a shit. I like this one because it's clean, thematically it relatively fits within Hollow Knight as much as a health bar can, and it's not overly intrusive. It doesn't show too much information. It's just something that's going to be there if you would like some visual feedback on exactly how well you're doing that isn't boss phases or amount of staggers. And next is Brave Traveler's damage numbers. It's just your standard damage text mod, and really nothing special to say about it. It's configurable. Press F1 in the game, open up BepInEx, and you'll find the configurables right there. Pretty simple. You can change the size, the color, how long it lingers. I like mine to be very unintrusive. I like it to be almost invisible unless you're looking for it. Now for some fun mods. If you ever wondered, hey, what would it be like to start the game with Architect's Crest? Well, Rex's Silksong Crest choice is exactly the mod for you. Once you install this mod, very similar to BepInEx, the mod that is required, you install this mod, open up the game once, close it, reopen it, and when you make a new save file, you will be given a choice at the beginning of the game to pick any of the crests you want. And if you're wondering why when you pick Architect Crest, you get Hunter Crest as well, that's because if you don't have a Silk spell slot, when you get the little Pierce thing that's meant to free the Bell Beast, you'll be locked. I learned that from experience the day this mod came out like a couple weeks ago. Now, as for the impact of balance this mod would have, that is really up for debate. Like, that could probably start a lot of fights because everyone has their own idea of what they think the best crest is. And if you think something like Architect or Shaman is incredibly overpowered, those are somewhat later game crests, so starting the game with them, you might see that as pretty overpowered. It is entirely up to each individual, but given that some of these crests are pretty late game, starting with the game with them could be a unique and fun experience. Next up is a purely silly one, and that is Dev Splash's custom custom Needolin song. Need I say anymore? Take whatever MP3 you want, put it in the BepInEx plugin folder, name it Needolin custom song.mp3, and you are good to go. Well, you don't actually need to put .mp3, but it just needs to be an MP3. Next up is not technically a mod, and that is Parsathy's all boss saves. Now, this is a collection of saves before every single boss in the game, with the special condition that this person made sure that they collected every single thing possible before each boss. The unfortunate part for practice purposes is this is a Steel Soul playthrough, so every time you want to retry a boss, you need to exit out of the game and replace the save file. And it goes without saying that if you're going to use this, please make sure you back up your save file before you do this. And finally, for the fun category, we have Max Last Breath's UltraCam. This mod is a Swiss Army knife. It can do so many things. It can outright cheat if you wanted to. That's not why I'm putting it here. The reason I'm highlighting this mod is because it allows you to zoom the camera in and out very smoothly. You can also teleport around the map, but that part of it is extremely jank, and I've had very mixed results. Mostly bad, a lot of game crashes. And possibly most importantly, this mod can also respawn a lot of bosses. I've personally found it to be one of the most reliable ways to respawn bosses, but even so, even some of the functionality in this one is still kind of jank. No mod is quite there perfectly yet, but this one at least works on many different bosses. And that's all I got for you. I hope you found something interesting. Thank you to all the wonderful mod creators that I showcased in this list, and if you feel I missed an amazing mod, feel free to share it below because there are like 300. They are easy to miss.